Have you ever been in the middle of saying something that truly mattered, only to be cut off? It happens at work. It happens with friends. Sometimes it even happens with the person you love the most. And in that split second, what do? Do you fall silent? Do you laugh awkwardly and whisper, "Sorry, go ahead"? It might feel small, but it isn't. Because every time you step back in those moments, you're teaching the world exactly how much or how little your voice matters. And here's the truth. This isn't just about interruptions. It's about respect. It's about presence. It's about power. Today, I want to share something timeless. Just 3 words that can change the way people listen to you forever. 3 words practiced by the great Stoics: Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. Words so simple, yet so powerful, they can silence a room and pull every eye back to you. Stay with me until the end, because once you know these words, you'll never struggle to be heard again. And if you believe in becoming unshakable in a world full of noise, take a second right now to subscribe to Stoic Muse, because here, we don't just study philosophy, we live it together. Now, what are these 3 words? Let's begin with the very first. But before that, let's understand why words themselves carry so much power. The ancients knew this well. Rome wasn't built on stone alone, it was built on words. A promise could spark a war, a command could save thousands of lives. Seneca once wrote to Lucilius, "Brevity and calm in speech carry more force than the loudest cries of the crowd." And it's still true today. Power no longer rests in swords or shields, it rests in your voice. In a meeting, if you can't hold attention, you'll be ignored. In a negotiation, if you can't defend your words, you'll be dismissed. In relationships, if you can't steady your tone, you'll be overlooked. The problem? Most of us give our power away. We whisper, "Sorry," we yield, and with each surrender, we send a dangerous message. My voice matters less than yours. Marcus Aurelius warned himself daily, do not be distracted by what is unnecessary. Hold to what is essential. If you don't guard what is essential in your own words, others will take it from you. So, how do you reclaim attention without shouting, without anger? The answer begins with the first word. The first word is listen. Why is this word so powerful? Because it's what psychologists call an orienting signal. When someone hears listen, their brain instantly shifts. It stops, it focuses, it prepares. Picture this. You're in a crowded meeting, voices are clashing, people are speaking over one another. You don't slam the table, you don't raise your voice. You simply say, "Listen, here's what needs to happen first." Suddenly, the noise fades, heads turn. Not because you forced silence, but because listen carries authority. It's soft, but it's undeniable. History proves this. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, often paused when his students grew restless. He didn't scold, he didn't shout. He lifted his eyes, scanned the room, and said calmly, "Listen," and silence returned. Centuries later, Martin Luther King Jr. used the same principle in his "I Have a Dream" speech. Thousands of people chanting and shouting, and yet with the phrase, "Now listen," the crowd leaned in. That's the lesson. When you use listen, you remind others that your words matter. You're not asking permission, you're declaring presence. But listen alone isn't enough. Attention fades unless it's anchored to meaning. That's where the second word comes in. The second word is important. Interruptions happen because people assume their words matter more than yours. They believe what they have to say is urgent, while what you're saying can wait. But the moment you use the word important, that illusion collapses. The human brain is wired to prioritize what's labeled as important. It sharpens attention. It deepens focus. Imagine this. You're sharing an idea, and someone cuts you off. Instead of shrinking, you calmly say, "The important point is this." Instantly, the interruption loses power. Nobody wants to be the fool who ignores what's important. The Stoics knew this well. On the battlefield, Marcus Aurelius once silenced endless chatter from his advisors by raising his hand and saying, "The important matter is the discipline of the soldiers." With that one phrase, all distractions disappeared. In daily life, it can sound like, "What's important here is that I explain the reason first," or "The important detail I was about to share changes everything." Do you feel the difference? You're no longer competing for attention, you're defining where it belongs. But importance alone can drift. People may nod politely and still move on. To truly command presence, you must root importance in time. And that's where the third word enters. The third word is now. Later is easy to ignore. Tomorrow can be delayed, but now cannot be brushed aside. When you say now, you anchor attention in the only moment that truly exists. Seneca once wrote, "Life is divided into 3 parts: what was, what will be and what is. We are not masters of the first two, but only the third. That's why now is so powerful. It doesn't allow escape. It doesn't allow distraction. It demands presence. Picture this. You're interrupted mid-thought. Instead of stepping back, you say, "Now let me finish this." The other person halts, because now isn't optional, it's immediate. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno of Citium, reminded his students, now is the time to practice philosophy, not tomorrow. Even today, leaders and coaches use it. A general doesn't say soon, he says now. A coach doesn't shout later, he demands focus now. Because urgency commands action. So with listen, you gain attention. With important, you define priority. With now, you root it in the present. It's short, calm, and powerful. In a meeting, in a conversation, even at home, this phrase reminds others that your thought isn't finished, that your voice carries weight. This isn't arrogance, it's presence. Sorry makes your words sound like noise. Listen, there's more, makes them sound like truth. The Stoics believed words reveal character. Epictetus said, discipline of speech reflects discipline of thought. When you say listen, you claim attention. When you say important, you define value. When you say now, you command presence. And when you replace sorry with listen, there's more, you stop surrendering your voice. Respect doesn't need to be demanded. It's carried in how you speak. So practice these words, live them, and you'll notice something powerful. People will not just hear you, they'll listen. If you're ready to strengthen not just your speech, but your entire way of living, subscribe to Stoic Muse. Together, we walk the path of calm authority. Together, we learn how to live unshakable. And if this video brought you value, tap the thanks button to support Stoic Muse in creating more content for you.